Assalamualaikum. In this video, I'm going to show you how to solve a problem, an assignment problem using the Hungarian method. Now, first of all, let's go through the steps in the Hungarian method. So first of all, we are going to set up the cost table for the problem. And the first step is to subtract the smallest number in each row from every number in that row. And then after that, we're going to subtract the smallest number in each column from every number in that column. Okay, so meaning that the first thing to do is to look at each row and then get the smallest number and then subtract every number in that row, the smallest number from every number in that row, and do the same for the column. And then after we've done the row reduction and column reduction, okay, this is row reduction and this is column reduction, we are going to test whether the opportunity cost table is optimal. Okay, and how do we do that? We test whether the table is optimal by drawing the minimum possible lines on columns and rows such that all the zeros are covered. Okay, don't worry about that, I'm going to show you after this. And then if the number of lines is less than the number of columns or the number of rows, that means the table is not optimal. Okay, so what do? Then we have to do this. First of all, subtract the smallest number not covered by a line from itself and every other uncovered number, and then add this number at every intersection of any two lines. Okay, and then if we get the number of lines to be the same as the number of rows or columns, that means the table is now optimal. Okay, so what do? Now we can make the final assignments. First of all, we check each row and column for a unique zero. That means in that row or column there's only one zero, and make the first assignment in that row or column. And then eliminate that row and column and search for another unique zero, and then make the assignment and proceed in a like manner, in the same manner. Okay, so let's make this smaller and move it to the corner. Okay, so now let's try and do this question. Now this is a question. As the plant supervisor, Afif is responsible for scheduling workers to jobs on hand. Each work is assigned to just one job. Estimated cost in Ringgit Malaysia in wages of the workers to the jobs are given in the table below. So these numbers are the costs, and these are the jobs available, and these are the workers. So we have 4 workers and 4 jobs. So this is called a balanced assignment problem. Okay, this is our task. Find the optimal assignment of workers to the jobs that will minimize the total cost, and what is the total cost. Okay, so let's do this problem. Now first of all, what we have to do is write down the table again and identify the minimum value in each row. Okay, so we look at this first row. Minimum is 100, right? And this row, the minimum is also 100, and in this row the minimum is 150. Okay, and in this row the minimum is 200. These are the costs for each worker to do each job. Okay, so let's do the first step, which is the row reduction. This is the row reduction. Okay, so we know that the minimum in this row is 100. Okay, we can see that here is 100. So we are going to take 100 minus 100, which is 0. Okay, and this 300 minus 100 becomes 200, and 250 minus 100 becomes 150, and the last column 150 minus 100 becomes 50. Okay, now go to the next row, second row. The minimum value is 100, so 250 minus 100 becomes 150. Now this is 200, so minus 100 becomes 100, and 350 minus 100 is 250, and 100 minus 100 is 0. Okay, so let's go to the third row. We have the minimum is 150, so here again 150 minus 150 we get 0, 250 minus 150 we get 100, 400 minus 150 we get 250, and 300 minus 150 is 150. And the last row, the minimum is 200. Okay, you can see here, so 200 minus 200 is 0, and 400 minus 200 is 200, 300 minus 200 is 100, 200 minus 200 is 0. Alright, so we have got the row reduction table, whereby we can see that the minimum, the 0 opportunity cost if we assign Izzat to job A. Alright, and there's 0 opportunity cost if we assign Fikri to job D, and 0 opportunity cost if we assign Ghani to A, and Hassan has alternative options. Okay, we have Hassan has 0 opportunity cost if he does job A and job D. Okay, so the next thing we have to do is we are going to do column reduction. So we are going to look at the minimum in this column. So minimum in this column is 0. Now minimum in this column is 100, and the minimum in this column is 100 also. The minimum in this column is 0. Okay, so we are going to take away the minimum value from each value in each column. Okay, so this is the column reduction. Alright, now we can see that the minimum value in the first column is 0, so it doesn't change the column, right? Because 0 minus 0 is 0 again, so the columns still stay the same. Now in the second column, you can see that the minimum value is 100, so we have 200 minus 100 is 100, and then 100 minus 100 is 0, and then again 100 minus 100 is 0, and then 200 minus 100 we get 100. Okay, so in the third column, minimum is 100, so 150 minus 100 is 50, 250 minus 100 is 150, 250 minus 100 is 150, and 100 minus 100 is 0. Okay, now in the fourth column, minimum is 0, so that won't change anything in the last column, right? So the column stays the same. All right, now once we have done the row reduction and the column reduction, now we are going to test whether the table, this whole table, is optimal or not. Okay, how do we do that? We're going to do that by drawing the minimum possible number of lines that cover all the zeros. You can see that we have 0 here, 0 here, 0 here, 0 here, 0 here, 0 here, and zeros here. So we are going to draw straight lines, vertical and horizontals, that cover all the zeros in this table. Okay, so we can do it like this. This is one line. Okay, so it covers all the zero here. This is the second line. It covers all the zeros here. All right, and then we have another 2 zeros here, so we have to draw another line here which covers all the 2 zeros, and we can also draw this last line that covers the 0 here. Okay, now this is the minimum possible number of lines. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, actually, we can draw more than 4 lines. For example, we can do it like this: 1, 2, 3. Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. But the minimum number of lines is 4. So in this case, we can see that the table is now an optimal table, because the number of possible lines that we can draw that covers all the zeros in this table is 4, and that equals to the number of rows and the number of columns. Okay, so this is already the optimal table. Okay, so now we are ready to make assignments. Okay, so how do we make the assignments? So I have reproduced the table again. Okay, so you can see that this is the same as this table. All right, this is the same as this table. Okay, so how do we make the assignments? First of all, look at the row and the columns that has only 1 0 in it. Okay, so look at the each row, go through each row and each column. Okay, and find which row or column that has only 1 0. So we can see that here we have this row which has only 1 0. Okay, now this row has 2, this row has 2, this row has 3 zeros. If you look at the columns, this has 2 columns, 2 zeros. Okay, now this column has 1 0, this column has 2 zeros, and this column has 3 zeros. Okay, so we can see that this column has 1 0 and this row has 1 0. Okay, so we can start with either one. So let's start with this. Okay, let's start with this. Let's say okay, so let's draw a line through this column and another line through this column. Okay, so we have one assignment, that is we are going to assign Izzat to job A. Right, now the other rows have 2 zeros in it, right? But we know that this column has 1 0. Okay, so we are going to assign Hassan to this job C. Okay, so Izzat will get job A and Hassan will get job C. Okay, now that's another column with 1 0, which is here, right? You can see that. Sorry. No, sorry, let me just get rid of this line. Okay, so we have this Ghani row, right? This row has only 1 0 in it. Okay, this row. So we are going to assign Ghani to B. Okay, so that leaves Fikri to D, and incidentally we have 0 in this column. Okay, so Fikri is assigned to D. Okay, so now we have the answer here. Okay, so Izzat is assigned to A. Okay, Izzat is assigned to A, and the cost is 100. Where do I get this? From the original table. Can you say that? Izzat's cost of doing job A is 100. And then Fikri will be assigned to D. Okay, Fikri, which is also 100. Okay, the cost is 100. And then Ghani is assigned to job B. Alright, the cost is 250. And finally Hassan is assigned to job C, and the cost is 300. Okay, so the total cost is 750. All right, so that's it.